Okay, look, I am just gonna put it right out there on the table before we do anything else today.
I have a feeling I know exactly what you're about to bring up.
The name. We have to talk about the name. O.H. Wow, Joby Mayes, Joby Jeeves. I mean, come on. It sounds like like a catchphrase from a Saturday morning cartoon in the 90s. Or maybe something a magician yells when he pulls a rabbit out of a hat. O.H. Wowdo.
It is definitely distinct. You certainly aren't going to forget it anytime soon.
That is true. It's enthusiastic, sure, but for a platform that claims to be solving a massive global economic crisis, it feels a little on the nose.
It's a bit of a juxtaposition, right? You have this almost whimsical, childlike name, but it's wrapped around a very serious concept.
Right, but once you get past that branding, and I promise you, listening to this, we are going to look past the branding, the actual documentation we have in front of us today is heavy.
Oh, absolutely.
Heavy in a good way, I mean. For our deep dive today, we're looking at a new white paper and press materials from Eon AI Ventures. This was released just recently on February 25th, 2026.
And our mission today is to really unpack this because despite the playful name, they are tackling something that keeps most economists awake at night.
Exactly. They are proposing what they call an immersive career infrastructure to fix arguably the single biggest structural failure in the modern world.
Which is the fact that human beings basically can't learn fast enough to keep up with the machines we built.
That is a terrifying way to frame it, but accurate. Immersive career infrastructure is a mouthful, though. Before we start tearing apart the tech, and there is a lot of tech here from XR to AI mentors, let's unpack the core problem.
Right, the why behind it all.
Yeah, why do we need a new infrastructure? Isn't that what universities and trade schools and community colleges are for?
Ideally, yes. But the source material for this deep dive points out a fatal flaw in that traditional system. They refer to it as skill half-life.
Skill half-life. I love that term. It sounds like nuclear physics.
It's actually a perfect analogy. In physics, half-life is how long it takes for an element to decay. In the labor market, it's the amount of time a skill remains valuable before it becomes entirely obsolete.
And here's the kicker. That timeline is completely collapsing.
It is. Think about it this way. 3 or 4 years ago, prompt engineering for AI was touted as the sexiest, highest-paying job of the future. People were rushing to take courses on it.
Oh, yeah. I remember all the boot camps popping up everywhere.
Right. Fast forward to today, and AI systems are increasingly optimizing their own prompts. That skill didn't have a half-life of a decade. It had a half-life of months.
So if you spent 4 years in a university getting a bachelor's in prompt engineering by the time you walked across the stage.
You're graduating with a toolkit for a world that literally no longer exists.
Wow.
And that is the core friction the source highlights. Traditional education is built on seat time.
Seat time, meaning you sit in a chair for 120 credit hours, you listen to lectures, you get a stamp.
Exactly. But the market doesn't care about seat time anymore. The market cares about competency. Can you actually do the thing? And can you do it now, not in 4 years?
Seat time versus competency, that's the real battleground. And for you listening, the urgency here isn't just for students. The report mentions reskilling urgency being high across global industries.
Yeah, this isn't just about 18-year-olds figuring out their lives. It's about the 40-year-old accountant whose job just got automated.
And the scary part is what the industry calls credential inflation. We have more people with degrees than ever before, but employers are screaming that they can't find qualified people.
That's because the piece of paper itself is losing its signal value. It tells you someone can study, but it doesn't prove they can perform high-stakes tasks in the real world.
Right. So enter Eon AI Ventures. They've partnered with Eon Reality, and they've launched this OHWOW Joe BS platform, and the promise is pretty bold.
Very bold. The vision of Dan Lajuskar, the chairman of Eon AI Ventures, is that this isn't just another tech tool. It's supposed to be the foundation for a new paradigm.
A unified framework to accelerate the path from just exploring a career to actually getting employed.
Right. They want to bridge the gap between career discovery, learning the skills, and getting certified all in one place.
And not just one place like a website with some PDFs, right? We're talking about an AI-driven extended reality ecosystem, which sounds a little bit like science fiction.
It does.
I can't help but think of The Matrix. I need to fly a helicopter and zap. Suddenly you know how to fly a helicopter. Is that what we're talking about here? Are we basically downloading skills?
Well, we've heard that promise for years, right? The whole matrix of learning thing. But usually it falls flat. What makes this different, and why I think this deep dive is really worth our time, is that Eon isn't trying to magically beam information into your brain.
Okay, so what do they do?
They are trying to simulate the actual experience of learning, but at hyperspeed. They're using XR extended reality to compress the time it takes to get from novice to fully competent.
Okay, but I have to be skeptical here for a second. We've seen VR training demos for 10 years. Usually it's a clunky headset, you teleport around a low-res room and maybe pick up a virtual wrench that floats weirdly in the air. Why is this any different?
That is exactly the right question to ask. The white paper identifies 3 specific structural failures they are trying to fix with this platform: geography speed and the gap between theory and practice.
Let's start with geography. Right now, if you want to be an elite aircraft mechanic, you probably need to live near a major hub or a specialized aviation school.
Right. It's the zip code lottery.
Yeah.
If you're in a rural village or even just a city without that specific program, you're basically out of luck.
So how does OHYLJBS fix that?
By being completely browser-based.
Hold on, browser-based.
Yes.
Okay, I need to stop you there because that sets off my tech radar alarm. We are talking about high-fidelity 3D simulations. Usually you need a $2,000 gaming PC or a high-end standalone headset to run that stuff without it looking like a potato. How are they running this in a regular web browser?
That is the big technical hurdle, isn't it? Streaming 3D content over the web usually means terrible lag, low resolution, or your laptop fan sounding like a jet engine.
Exactly.
But this is where the pedigree really matters. Eon AI Ventures is built by the leadership of Eon Reality. These guys have been doing XR for 25 years.
That 25-year number is significant. They aren't just some startup that popped up last week with a flashy pitch deck.
Correct. They have developed optimization algorithms, what they call their spatial AI core, that allow these incredibly heavy 3D assets to stream efficiently.
So they aren't rendering every single photon in real time on your local device?
No, they are smart about how they deliver the data. And that is what democratizes the access. You don't need the expensive hardware. You just need an internet connection.
Which opens the door for that kid in the rural village we just mentioned. That takes care of the geography failure.
Precisely. And that leads directly to the second failure: theory versus practice. You and I both know the feeling of reading a textbook, understanding the concept perfectly, and then completely freezing up when we actually have to do it in real life.
Oh, absolutely. I can read a book on plumbing, but do not ask me to fix your sink. I will flood your entire house.
And that's the gap. Too much observation, not enough immersion. The Source argues this causes massive dropout rates in traditional training. People get into a job, realize the day-to-day reality is nothing like the textbook, and they just quit.
So OHWowJGBS uses XR to put you in the actual environment.
Yes, but it's not just a generic room. They use a massive library of assets to solve this. And I mean massive. The number they quote in the source is 36 million.
36 million 3D integrated assets. I saw that number, and honestly, I assumed it was a typo.
It's not. And let's be clear about what an asset is in this context. We aren't just talking about a generic 3D cube or a cartoonish wrench. We are talking about specific, verified industrial components.
Like a specific pump for a desalination plant or a specific valve for a heart monitor.
Exactly. And that distinction is crucial. If I'm training to be a surgeon, I don't want a generic 80% accurate heart. I want the real thing.
Right. And the expert notes in the source make a very sharp point here about precision AI versus generic AI. We all use things like ChatGPT or Claude every day. They are great tools. But they hallucinate. They operate at maybe 80% accuracy on a good day.
Which is perfectly fine if you're writing a poem or generating ideas for a marketing campaign.
But terrible for high-stakes operations. You cannot have an AI hallucinate a safety protocol for a nuclear reactor.
Exactly. Eon's pitch is that because they have this library of 36 million verified assets, their AI isn't guessing what a machine looks like or how it functions. It knows.
It's training you on the exact digital twin of the equipment you will actually use in the field.
Right. So to paint the picture for you, you are a user. You log into OHWowJGBS on your browser. You want to work in the energy sector. You are virtually standing in front of a high-voltage transformer.
And it looks real.
It looks real, and you can move around it. You aren't just clicking next on a slide. You are interacting. You're turning valves, flipping switches, checking gauges, practicing procedural skills.
The source mentions healthcare, aviation, and energy specifically. These are zero margin for error fields. So what happens in the simulation if I mess up?
You blow it up. Virtually, of course.
which is significantly better than blowing it up physically.
Much better. It's what they call experiential discovery. You get to practice the equipment interaction and the safety protocols without any physical risk.
You get to make the catastrophic error, see the consequences, and then hit reset.
Yes. And that emotional impact, the shock of seeing the machine fail because of your specific mistake, is what actually locks the learning into your long-term memory.
Okay, so we have the environment, we have the 36 million assets, but standing in a room with a transformer doesn't inherently teach me how to fix it. I could just be poking it with a stick. I need a teacher.
And this brings us to deep dive feature number 2, the AI-guided mentorship.
The source calls this an apprenticeship model, which is interesting because apprenticeship is arguably the oldest, most effective way to learn a trade.
It really is. You stay next to the master, watch them do it yourself, and get corrected if you do it wrong.
But the problem with the human apprenticeship model is obviously scalability. One master tradesperson can only teach 1 or 2 apprentices at a time. It's expensive and it's slow.
True. Eon is trying to use AI to scale that intimacy. They want to give every single learner a personalized master tradesperson.
But is it actually personalized, or is it just a glorified chatbot popping up saying it looks like you're trying to fix a turbine?
No, it's much more sophisticated than that. And there's one detail in the white paper that really stopped me in my tracks when I read it. It says the AI conducts scenario-based oral evaluations.
Yes, I circled that 3 times in my notes. Oral evaluations.
This is a massive departure from how we usually think of online learning. Usually it's just a multiple-choice quiz. Select A, B, or C.
Which is so easy to game. I can guess C. I can Google the answer in another tab while the timer counts down.
Exactly. But here the AI mentor actually talks to you. It asks you a direct question. Like, the pressure is rising in Valve for what is your immediate course of action and why?
And you have to speak out loud. You have to explain your reasoning to the machine.
You do.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though. We've all dealt with voice assistants on our phones that can't even understand us when we ask for the weather. Can we really trust an AI to grade a complex medical or engineering explanation?
That is a very valid concern.
Like, what if I have an accent? What if I stutter or pause? Is it really nuanced enough to judge actual competency?
That is the big gamble. But the technology behind natural language processing has advanced wildly. The source claims this AI provides adaptive, curriculum-specific teaching support.
So it's not just matching keywords on a rubric.
No, it's listening for the logic in your answer. It creates a personalized feedback loop. If you hesitate, if you sound unsure, the AI picks up on that and knows you don't really know the material, even if you eventually stumble into the right answer.
That is fascinating. It's almost reintroducing the Socratic method, but entirely automated. It forces you to synthesize the information on the spot, not just recognize it on a multiple choice list.
It creates a much higher standard of verification. Traditional classrooms really struggle to provide that kind of one-on-one, real-time feedback for every single student.
Right. If you can explain a procedure out loud confidently while performing it in a 3D simulation, you actually know it.
You've achieved competency. Which brings us to the payoff. Because all of this, the 3D worlds of the AI grilling you, it's all useless if it doesn't actually lead to a job.
Exactly. This is the third pillar we need to discuss: competency-based credentialing and job mapping.
This is where the platform really shifts from being just a training tool to an employment bridge.
Yeah.
They talk about a trust architecture.
Right, because right now, if I take an online course, I get a PDF certificate at the end. Most employers look at that and shrug. It doesn't really prove anything. How is this system any different?
Eon calls it integrity-driven credentialing because the entire system is digital. Every single action is tracked. The system generates what they call a performance analytics dashboard.
So it's not just recording a simple pass or fail.
Not at all. It's recording granular data. How fast was your reaction time when the alarm went off? How accurate were your hand movements? Did you follow the safety sequence perfectly, or did you skip a minor step?
It's pure data. It's shifting from I took a class to I have mathematical proof I can do this job.
Exactly. And this data powers what they call real-time job mapping.
Now that sounds a bit like a corporate buzzword. Job mapping. What does that actually mean for the person sitting at home trying to pay their rent?
Think about the employer side of the equation for a second. Say you are a hiring manager at a massive energy company. You have a stack of 500 resumes on your desk.
And they all look exactly the same. They all list the same buzzword.
Right. You have absolutely no idea who can actually do the job.
It's a nightmare. You usually just pick the ones from the good schools and hope for the best.
But OHWOW Joe BS changes that signal entirely. The system uses labor market intelligence to dynamically connect learners to open roles, but it validates the learner first.
So it acts as a filter.
It effectively tells the employer, look, we have verified this candidate. We have data showing they have performed this specific turbine repair 50 times in the simulation with 100% precision.
That removes so much risk for the employer.
It bridges the trust gap. The employer doesn't have to guess or hope you can do the job. They can look at the dashboard and see the verified skills. It removes the gap between finishing training and finding a job.
I want to zoom out for a second here. We've talked a lot about the tech, the AI, the XR, but who is this actually for? Because OHWOW sounds like a consumer app you'd download on your phone, but the documentation specifically mentions institutional and government workforce initiatives.
That is a key distinction to make. While individuals will likely use it, the real power of this infrastructure is at scale. Governments around the world are terrified of mass unemployment caused by automation and AI.
Right. If a massive factory closes in the Midwest, you suddenly have 5,000 workers with obsolete skills.
And usually those workers are just left behind. Traditional retraining programs are incredibly slow and very expensive to set up.
Precisely. You have to build a facility, hire instructors, develop a curriculum. It takes years.
But with this platform, a government could deploy a reskilling initiative almost instantly. They can say, okay, the factory closed, but labor market intelligence shows we have a massive shortage of wind turbine technicians and healthcare admins in this region.
So they just roll out the specific OHWOW modules for those jobs.
Yes, because it requires minimal physical infrastructure and is browser-based.
Yeah.
They don't need to build a new campus. They just need to get those displaced workers online.
That is the social impact angle here. It's really about workforce agility. It's allowing an entire local economy to pivot on a dime.
And it's fundamentally about economic mobility.
Yeah.
If you remove the barriers of geography because you don't have to move to a city and the barriers of speed and cost because you don't need a 4-year degree, you unlock potential in millions of people.
People who are currently entirely shut out of the high-skill economy.
Exactly.
It sounds incredibly optimistic, a unified framework that solves the skill half-life crisis.
Mm-hmm.
But to summarize the flow here, we went from a broken, slow education model based on seat time to an immersive, AI-driven ecosystem that simulates the real world and verifies actual skills with data.
That is the promise of the platform, yes.
But we should address the elephant in the room as we wrap up. We're talking about automating the entire education pipeline. The teacher is an AI, the classroom is a simulation, the credential is just data. Is anything lost here?
That is the deep philosophical question, isn't it? We are essentially stripping away the human elements of education, the campus life, the networking, the serendipity of a random classroom discussion.
We are trading all of that for pure efficiency and competency.
We are.
It feels like we are moving toward a world where the degree capital D is completely dead.
I think we might be. If this works, and that is still a very big if, but if it works, we're moving to a world where you went to school is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what you can prove you can do.
And for you listening, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. If an AI mentor can test us orally and simulate a workplace perfectly and then generate the data that gets us hired, are we ready for the next step?
Which is?
Are we ready to trust an AI to make the final hiring decision? If the data is that good, do we even need human hiring managers anymore? Or does the AI just tell us when to show up for work?
Now that is a provocative thought. Would you trust an AI to tell you you're hired?
Honestly, if it means I don't have to do another panel interview, I might just welcome it.
Fair point.
Well, it is a fascinating glimpse into our near future. EO&AI Ventures is clearly betting that the solution to the AI disruption is well more AI. We will have to watch and see if the OHWOW matches the reality. That is all the time we have for today's deep dive. A huge thank you to everyone listening. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we will see you next time.